Om Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Yenaksharasamaamnayam adhigamya maheshwarat kritsnam vyakaranam proktam tasmai paninaye namaha vakyakaram varuchim bhashyakaram patanjalim paninim sutrakarancha pranatosmi munitrayam Vagarthaviva samprikto Vagarthav pratipattaye Jagatav pitaro vande Parvati parameshwarao Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Namaste, everyone. So in today's class, we'll be looking at ātman-śabdha. So we'll see ātman-śabdha, and just quickly we'll review sat. Oh, before we do that, let's do our oh no, I was in the right place. Sorry. Let's do our Maheshwara Sutra. Om A-I Un Rilik E-Ong I-Ouch Haya Varata Larna Yama Gananam Jabhanya Ghadhadash Jabagadhadash Kapha Chatha Chata Tav Kapai Shashasar Hal Iti Maheshwarani Sutrani. Om Su Aujas Ot Shas Tabhyam Bhis Nebhyam Bhyas Ngasibhyam Bhyas Nas Os Am Ni Os Sup. In our last class, we were looking at Sat Shabda. This is what we call Chatranta. It has the suffix Shatra at the end of it. So one of the words Chatranta is Sat. So we can quickly look at this. One, what we know is in that Sarva Namastana section, that dark bold area, is you get that addition of the nakara. One is a little bit different, that because it becomes a conjunct consonant, the takara goes away, right? So we get sun, santo, santaha, santam, santo, and then now we're outside of the Sarva Namastana, so no more nakara, right? So sataha. We're just adding the suffix. So sata. Then in this section, pada section, ta becomes dakara, jashtvam, sandhi, right? So sadbhyam, sadbihi. Then sate, sadbhyam, sadbhyaha. Fifth case, sataha, sadbhyam, sadbhyaha. Sixth case, sataha, satoho, satam. Seventh case, sati saptami, sati, satoho, satsu, he, san, he santo, he santaha. Okay. So we're going to switch over to Atman. This is in your book, let's find it. Let's just page 140, page 140, 140, and 141. So those few pages. So we're getting near the end here. So getting near the end of this book 1. And finally, we're going to Atman Brahma. You have to go through all the prerequisites before you get to Atman Brahma. So this class will see Atman, most likely next class we'll see Brahman. Okay. Now, notice how we have to look at it by these 2 letters, an. We have to use 2 letters because we can't just say na ending, nakaranta, because we have, for example, in ending, right? Yogin. Yogin declines differently than unending. So in versus un. So we can't just say nakaranta, na ending, because there's multiple different nas. So we have to use the 2 last letters when we're talking about the pratipadika. Okay, here we're talking about punlinga. This is important. We'll see. So Atman is a punlinga shabda. One thing we'll see is for example, Brahman can be masculine. It can also be neuter. Okay. We have to make a decision. When we're talking about Brahmaji, the creator, it's masculine Brahman. When we're talking about Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma or Satchitananda Brahma, that's neuter Brahma. So most likely in Vedanta class, we're going to be talking about neuter Brahma, Napumsakalinga Brahma, not this Brahma. Okay, this Brahma is the one with multiple heads, long beard, who's said to have created the universe. Okay, so that's like Devata Brahma. So 2 different things. Okay, Brahma, Shiva, Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. That's that in the Trinity. Okay, so just to know that note that we're in that masculine. Okay, so declension of pratipadika, Atman, which is the self. This is Ananta Punlinga Shabda. Now, most of it is just adding it. This Sarva Namastana section is a bit peculiar, but not too difficult. And then we'll see that there's a little bit of sandhi in this pada section. So let's look at this Sarvanama section. So let's look at 1-1, how it's made. Okay. So you see Atman, right? Atman is our pratipadika. We're going to add the 1-1 sak supratyaya su ojas, right? Su, that u is an it letter. So sakara, that is always comes and goes, right? When we're here. So sa 1-1 is to be elided after the consonant. Okay. Now, in ananta, in unending pratipadika, in the Sarva Namastana section, right? That's that 5-box section. The penultimate meaning the second to last akara becomes dirgha. Okay, so what that means is, you see how you have right before nakara, you have an in there. Atman, ma. So M-A-N, right? If I write it out in English, M-A-N, that A becomes dirgha. So it becomes Atman. Okay, so it becomes long. So that second to last letter, which is akara, gets elongated. It becomes dirgha. Now there's a sandhi rule which says that the last na of pratipadika is elided. We'll see that. We'll review that in a moment. But 827, we'll see that when nakara is at the end of a word, it gets removed. So it's atman and then just atma. Okay, so now don't look at the page for a second. Let's just remember the steps, right? We're adding sakara, this pratyaya, the sa goes away because this is unending. The second to last letter, which is akara, becomes dirgha, so it goes atman. And when you have a nakara at the end of the word, that na is going to go away, so you're left with atma. Okay. Now, here in this Sambodhana, it's simpler, but the rules basically just don't apply the same way. Okay. So you get that suprata, you get that sa, Sambodhana, right? This is a variation of 1-1. That sa goes away. But for Sambodhana, that dirgha doesn't happen. Elongation of the last letter does not happen. And that elision of nakara does not take place. Okay, that's just, Sambodhana just has special rules, which it just basically doesn't always, what we usually apply other places doesn't always apply to Sambodhana. Okay, so just Atman, which is nice. It's just the Pratipadika. Okay, so hey Atman. When you have 1, 2, then we're just, then, right, this is also in the Sarva Namastana section, right? So what happens is you get that second to last letter. Second to last letter is called upadha. Upadha. You see that word here. Upadha dirgha. Upadha, not upadhi. Upadha. That means second to last. That second to last akara is dirgha, so atman. And then you just add it, right? So atmano. So right, atma, atmano. Then 1, 3. You just add su, o, just us. So atmanaha, because you're still getting that second to last letter long. Atmanaha. Then 2, 1. I'm adding su, o, just o, shas, right? So I'm adding so atmanam. Then o, yep, atmanam. Yeah, atmanam. You're still getting that long. So atmanam. Then you have that su, o, just o, shas, right? So you get that o. So atmano. And now here in this section, right, there's no more of that upada dirgha. There's no more of that second to last letter becoming long. So then now we just have atmana, atmanaha, atmanaha. Okay, so this is atmanaha, this is atmanaha. So that the only difference is it doesn't, that akara does not become long, does not become dirgha. Okay, because that dirgha only happens in this section. Okay. Let's just quickly look at this section since we're looking at all the nitty-gritty details, right? Right, this is called the pada section, that bhyambis section. The last na of the pratipadika is declined, is elided, sorry, is removed. So that nakara is removed. So instead of atman, it becomes atma. So atma bhyam. Atma bihi. Atmabhyam, atmabhyaha, atmabhyam, atmabhyaha. Again, we will look at that sandhi in a moment, why that happens. But just for now, we know that the nakara goes away because it's at the end of a pada, right? Here we saw the same thing. Nakara at the end of a pada goes away. Same thing here, nakara at the end of a pada. Because remember, these suffixes, bhyam, bis, give the status of pada to the thing preceding it. Right? So Atman gets the status of pada. And because the nakara then is at the end of a pada, it goes away. Okay, so let's quickly look at that. That's you don't need to pull up your Sandhi book. If you want to, you can, but this is Nalopaha, but it's on the screen here, so we're only going to look at it for a moment. This is the sutra we were just talking about. And what it says is when na is at the end of a pratipadika and pada, it is elided. So that's why we get, when we have atman, 1-1, then it just becomes atma. Same thing, we have atman plus bhyam. This is, right, let's just say 3-2. Now I have a nakara. This is from the pada section, right? Meaning that it gives the status of pada to this anga preceding it. Now this is called a pada. Okay, this is from the pada section, meaning that it gives the status of pada to what's preceding it. So now I have a nakara, which is at the end of a pratipadika and pada. So now that nakara goes away and I'm left with ātman-śabdha. Okay. We saw this in Yogin as well. That's where this also came up. Okay, now let's do this. Only looking at suojas. Okay. We just have to remember some rules that in the Sarva Namastana section, long a, right? Okay. And then in the pada section, nakara goes away. In 1-1, nakara goes away too. Okay, so atma, atmano, again long, right? Atmanaha, atmanam. Okay, stay with me. So the word is atman, right? So it becomes long. Atman, then o, atmano. Now no longer long. So it's just Atman and us. So Atmanaha. Atmana. Then nakara goes away at the end. So Atma-bhyam. Atma-bhyam. Atma-bihi. Sakara always becomes visarga, right? So Atma-bihi. Atman, Atman, Atmane, right? So Atmane, again, the nakara goes away. So Atma-bhyam, Atma-bhyaha. Nakara comes back. Atmanaha, Atmabhyam, Atmabhyaha, Atmanaha, Atmanoho, Atmanam, Atmani, Atmanoho, Atmasu. So here, because again, this is in the su is in the pada section. Okay, this is pada, and then this 7-3 is also in the pada section. So the su gives the status of pada to what's before it. The nakara goes away, so it's atmasu. So not atmanasu. Okay. Okay. Does everyone feel okay? Any questions? Feel free to put a question mark in the chat. Some other words that we see, advan is a path or a road or a way, advan. Again, Brahman, this is Brahmaji, the creator. So why we say, we always say, we add the G at the end to denote that it's different than Satchidananda Brahma. Okay. Ashman, stone. Bhuman means many. Ushman, steam. Mahiman, greatness. So you see this a lot. Mahima, right? Something which is great. Mahima comes from ātman-śabdha. This is also common. Papa, right? Papa, the word, like punya papa. This papa is actually ātman-śabdha. So we can only say papa because it's 1-1, but then if we decline it, it's just like Atman. Rajan, king. So these are all common, right? These are more common. Rajan, king. So Raja. So it's not like a ending or anything like that. It's Rajan. So then it's a little bit more detailed in this way. Okay. There is a star there because there is a little bit of peculiarity for these three, and we'll see that in a moment. And let's just look at some examples so far with what we have. This is exercise 41. This is page 184 in the back of the book. But don't lose where you were. We're going to come back. This is page 184. So, right, the first one's pretty straightforward. Atma ekaha. Right, Atma is one. Right, this is ātman-śabdha, unending, or punlinga, pratama vibhakti ekavachanam. And this is, and there's no verb here, but we can say kartari pratama tu bhavati. And this is samanadhikarana with ekaha, right? Atma, the self is one. Okay, let's look at let's look at this one, just so we can get a little bit more complexity. Number 6. So pick up the verb. Does anyone want to give this a shot, actually? And I'll help you, I'll guide you through it. Yeah? Okay. Neelamaji, I'll unmute you.
I'll try. The word,
Okay.
the verb is janati.
Yep.
The root word is jna, 9 you to know.
9 you to know, perfect. So, and then the
It is
Lakara?
yeah, it is Prathama Purusha and singular.
Ekavachanam. Yeah.
Ekavachanam.
Lakara and prayoga.
Lakara karmani prayoga.
Kartari prayoga.
Kartari is prayoga. Jana.
Kartari prayoga. So someone knows.
Someone knows.
Okay. Now we look for our first case.
Saha, he.
Saha. Yep. So what's the pratipadika? It's a tricky one.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I forget.
It's tad is the pratipadika.
Tad,
right? Mm-hmm. So this is dakaranta pullinga, and then what's the vibhakti?
Tad.
No, vibhakti. So first case, second case.
Oh yeah. So it is first case and ekavachanam.
Yeah. So prathama vibhakti ekavachanam, and then vibhakti arthaha.
It is karmani prayoga to janati.
Is this karmani or is this kartari?
Karmani.
This is kartari, right?
Janati. I thought we said, yeah. I thought I said kartari, but did you correct me to say karmani?
No, I corrected you to say kartari.
Okay.
Yeah. I think we're on the same page. So you're kartari prayoga, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So he knows.
That's right.
Right, he knows. Okay, what does he?
He knows. Atmanaha.
Okay, so let's say Atmanaha. What case can Atmanaha be out of all the cases?
Atmanaha would be, we talked about sixth case, Shashti Vibhakti, Sambandhe Shashti.
Mm-hmm. That can be sixth case, yes. Mm-hmm. What other cases can it be? Just so we know. I think you're on the right path, but that is correct. But what other cases can it be?
I'll have to look into my book.
Yeah, you can look in the book.
Panchami, it can be Panchami, Shashti, and that's it.
Yeah, there's 2, 3 also.
2 Atmana, yes, 2, 3.
Yeah, 2, 3 also. Okay. So 2, 3, 5, 1, 6, 1. Right? It can be any of those cases.
Yes.
Just for your ears, let's pick up Mahimanam first. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a hint. Let's pick up Mahimanam first. So can you give me what is the last letters? What kind of?
I would go with second vibhakti. It is karma. It is an object.
What is the pratipadika?
For I missed last 2 classes, so Mahima.
Yeah, so it's just like Atman. So that's the clue. So
okay, so Mahima.
So it's, so the pratipadika is unending.
Unending.
What gender?
Neuter.
That's okay. That's why we're doing this. So this is masculine, right? So Atma is masculine. So this is unending masculine. This is Mahimanam. Mahiman. Mahiman, just like Atman. And you are correct. This is Ditiya Vibhakti Ekavachanam. Right? This is second case.
But then how come the na didn't go away?
How come?
There's no lopa for na. Atmana, right?
So the nakara only goes away in 1-1.
Okay.
Right? So 2-1 is the nakara stays there. Right? It's Atmanam. So this can be 2-1.
2-1.
Yeah. So
Ramam, like Ramam. Right?
Yeah. Right. We have that at the end. Like Atmanam.
Atman.
Mm-hmm. So what is the vibhakti artha to janati?
It would be karmani.
Mm-hmm.
Karmani prathama to janati.
Yep. Karmani dvitiya to janati.
Karmani dvitiya. Sorry, karmani dvitiya.
No, I know you knew it. Putting you on the spot. That's okay.
I'm a little rusty here. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So he knows the mahima,
the greatness of Atman.
the greatness.
So
Now,
of Atman could be Panchami Vibhakti, right?
Let's think of that. So greatness, what Panchami Vibhakti would say from, right? Usually, right?
From or of.
Yeah, so of works better, right? What case is usually of?
Of would be,
Usually,
fourth is 2 or 4.
yeah.
The punch would be off, Panchami would be for off or from.
So usually when we say of, it's 6th case, right? So this is the flower of Devadatta, or this belongs to that person, right? You can sometimes say of a 5th case as well. So that's, but usually we say 6th case. So you were right in the beginning. So you had that.
Okay.
So this is, what's the Pratipadika?
Atma.
Pratipadika is Atman.
Unending.
Yeah.
We should call it masculine.
Yeah.
Unending masculine.
Unending masculine. This is Shashti Vibhakti Ekavachanam.
Shashti Vibhakti Ekavachanam. Sambandhe Shashti to Mahima.
To Mahima. Perfect. Yeah. So can you translate then?
Sorry.
No worries. So can you do the translation then?
Yeah. So he knows the greatness of Atman.
Yeah, he knows the greatness of the self. Perfect. So that was good.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. So he knows the greatness of the self. So this is how you learn, right? If you're very passive, right, it's hard to, right, then it's hard to know how much, right, or to get that correction, right? So this is how you learn. You make mistakes, you get them fixed, you learn in the moment, right? We see this common in Bhagavad Gita, Shri Paramatmane Namaha, right? This is just Atman. So because it's connected to Namaha, we get that 4th case. Paramatmane Namaha. Okay, so notice how the word we were looking at is Atman, but now we Paramatman would be the, and you can do that. This is what we call a samasa, a compound word where we have 2 words put together. So Parama and then Atma. Parama means ultimate, right? Atma means self, so Paramatma. Now, but still it would be Paramatman. So you still decline it the same way as ātman-śabdha. So there's no sandhi there, right? Just parama, param, parama. Well, you technically get dirgha sandhi, even though a is already long, but you get short a, parama, and then a, so you technically get dirgha sandhi. But this is what we call a compound word, which means that they have a special relationship, which we'll see that soon. We should do that soon. It's kind of important to know these. Yeah, so you actually see that here too. Okay, now this is a bit funny, and we'll stop soon after this, number 8. So, right, if I just translate this off the top of my head, right, what it means is this knowledge of the self is the knowledge of the self. Okay, why is this written like this? When we're doing a compound word usually has a it has a relationship between the 2 words. It's not just that they're joined together. It's not just self-knowledge. It's the knowledge of the self, right? So when I say Atma Jnanam, it's Atmanaha Jnanam iti Atma Jnanam. So when I say iti uchyate, in this manner it is called, right? Iti means in this manner, or it's giving a quote. Uchyate, it is called ātman-śabdha. So when I'm breaking apart a samasa, this compound word, into its two parts, it looks like this. This is how we make that formation. So the teacher will say, you might be wondering, what is Atma, what's the relationship between Atma and Jnanam? Because it can be the self is the knowledge, or it can be the knowledge from the self, or it can be knowledge in the self, right? You can have different variations of the same compound. But the teacher will tell you that it's knowledge of the self, 6th case. So ātman-śabdha. So ātma-jnanam is ātman-śabdha. So this is just the style of breaking the compound. Same thing here, rajñah purushaha, rajapurushaha. The king, which is the person, is the kingly person. We haven't seen rajña. We'll see that next class. Okay. Yeah, we'll end here and then I'll break for questions. Okay. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. So we'll continue with this in our next class, where we'll keep looking at Atma. Mainly, we need to look at these words that are in the star, because they decline slightly different, but not too different.